Welcome to the Manhood Neat podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the bunker for another episode of the Manhood Neat podcast. We got Ben Lewis with us.
Hello, everybody.
We got Dylan.
What's up? What's up?
Rob, it is so good to have you back in the bunker. I missed you, brother.
Hey, it's good to be back.
Benson is out in the DR doing the adoption thing, which is we're really excited for him. Unfortunately, we did not have the ability to link up for tonight's episode. Hopefully, he can catch us in the future, but he's going to be missed. But for those of you that are here, we do thank you for listening. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can just like and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're using. If you're on Apple and you can leave a review with the appropriate 5 stars, that would be fantastic. And then also, you can email us if you got a question, a concern, a recommendation for a topic or a bourbon, or just want to reach out and say, you guys look goofy, at info@manhoodneat.com or at manhood.neat@gmail.com. And hey, guys, big news. We are on the Twitters now.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, we're going to get banned.
So, yeah, we actually already got banned after 24 hours, but it got reinstated this morning. But if you
get banned again.
Yeah, probably get banned again. But if you'd like to try and follow us on the Twitters, it's just @manhoodneat. So just @manhoodneat. That's us.
I don't even have a Twitter.
Well, you get one
I will get one just to follow.
Yeah, well, don't follow, but you see, to interact with our listener.
Get the algorithm going.
That's right.
Can you get one of those Twitters at Walmart?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, good.
Actually, just give me $200. I'll get one for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yep.
Fire up the bots. Let's see some follows here.
Don't say that. They're gonna hear it. Come on now.
So, but yeah, all right. Well, we have a bottle. I see it sitting there. Ben Lewis, would you do us the honors of reading the bottle?
I would. This bottle is Fiddler Unison Bourbon Whiskey from ASW Distillery in Atlanta, Georgia. Who do we know in Atlanta? Holy cow.
I know.
Here's what the back says. High wheat and high malt. I got to focus in here. The flavorful bourbon whiskey has the complexity you'd expect from a marriage of bourbons distilled using 2 entirely different methods. During our formative years, we developed a taste for whiskey from all across this fine land. When we opened ASW Distillery, we aimed at only to distill some of our country's finest spirits, but also to showcase some of America's best tipples. What's a tipple? We're going to find out, maybe. So was born Fiddler, allowing our head distiller, Jay Manglitz himself, an accomplished old-time fiddler, to select fine bourbon whiskeys from across the United States and fiddle, get that, fiddle, with them at ASW Distillery. To fine-tune this expression, we've married a foraged high-wheat bourbon with stocks of our own bourbon, distilled on our Scottish-style copper pot stills in the heart of Atlanta with an especially high malt content.
All right. What's the proving on that?
It is 90 proof.
90 proof.
So did it say in there they mixed 2 different bourbons together? They fiddled with a high wheat and then added their own? Is that what that said?
It just said we married a foraged high wheat bourbon with stocks of our own bourbon. So I guess it's a blend. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's ASW Distillery, Fiddler Unison. We should probably jump into our sponsor for this episode. All right, this bottle is sponsored by Mr. Daniel Watkins, or D-Watt as he's known across the internet.
D-Watt.
D-Watt. So D-Watt, we thank you. I'll let you guys know D-Watt is a kind soul, and if you need help on Destiny, he's always there to give you a hand.
So you're saying he's a good guy?
I've heard a lot of good things about D-Watt. Great guy.
He's the best guy.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, D-Watt. You the
Thanks,
man. Well done.
Thank you, D-Watt.
Lewis.
I blew it.
All right, so we're a little out of order because I forgot to do the what's new and going on, but
We're rusty.
we're rusty and we're all anxious to try this bourbon. So let's go ahead and review it, then we'll jump into that question.
There you go.
So the first thing, guys, always is the nose. So what do you when you waft this stuff in? Actually, the first thing should be the pour.
Yeah, do you want me to...
Have we done a podcast
Yeah,
before?
it's our first
What
time.
is this?
Oh man. It's because the Braves game's on the background. That's what's going on.
Yeah, it makes everybody dumber watching the Braves.
You guys want some too?
You can leave. So, all right. So on the nose, what do you guys gather on this?
Definitely get some sweet floral notes.
I get an earthy. I get a slightly earthy note to it.
Definitely tell it's high wheat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the sweetness. I think chocolate for the sweetness.
You got a mash bill
And,
on this? What's the
I believe
wheat content?
This is from memory. I think it was 51% corn, 45% wheat, and then the rest is the malted barley.
Yep.
I'm going to say I don't really smell vanilla in this, and I usually do.
I get a little bit, but I'm more of a toffee.
Floral.
Toffee. That's a good way to put it. Toffee.
So really, to me, like a Heath Blizzard is kind of the smell.
Man, you
Okay.
really stretching there.
Dylan,
Yeah.
does this blow your nostrils out or?
No, it's a lot more subtle on the nostrils. It doesn't just completely blow them out
Yeah.
like a few of our other ones have. It does, just appearance-wise, it coats the glass really well.
And you can pick up that char on just a little bit in the smell too.
Yeah.
There's yeah.
So
Based on the nose, it would appear that D-Wad is a great guy.
He's a good guy.
He's the best guy.
he's the man. All right. So on the palate, it is sweet.
Yeah.
It's sweet up front, but you can definitely tell there's wheat in there because the backside's got the
Yep.
wheat flavor.
Yeah. It's got that earthy flavor to it.
Yeah.
Definitely
So I'm actually picking up
wheat flavor.
almost.
It's like if you're chewing on a piece of wheat, like pick a piece of wheat and put in your. It might be a hick thing, but you know.
No, it is definitely a normal thing to do around here.
Yeah, around here.
I'm actually picking up some apple pie,
Apple pie.
like caramel apple pie.
Maybe some caramel. I could see.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
I
that
get a
Braves
little-
game's doing a lot of weird things to your head,
I get
man.
a little fruit on there, and then a little bit of like citrus zest on the backside, which would be the wheat.
Yeah. I'm getting a like a kind of a cinnamon coating. I like it. I feel it on the finish too.
I taste the cinnamon in my nose, if that's weird. Like after it's all gone down, and I just kind of like swish air around in my mouth, I taste the cinnamon then. I don't taste it on the actual drink. It's extremely smooth. It's not
Yeah.
a hard burn going down. So for
No.
you proof snobs here, that's the
The finish is, I would say, medium in length.
yeah.
It's not real long. It's finish is kind of sweet as well.
It doesn't dry your mouth out really fast.
No, it's semi warm. The finish is kind of like getting a hug from a grandma who doesn't like you that much. Like, yeah, it's a nice hug, but it's short.
I have a couple
I've
of
never
those.
had a grandma like that. So
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that like, Aaron?
I just told you. It's like this bourbon.
Well, geesh. All right.
Hope Aaron's grandma's not missing.
Therapy next week.
That'd be
okay?
next week. All right. Anybody got any final thoughts on the finish or the palate or anything on this?
I think it's good.
It's easy drinking.
It is.
Very easy drinking.
Yep.
All right. So, Dylan,
Hey, that's pretty good.
what's your score on this?
It's pretty good, and gosh, I am gonna go with a 60 on
60.
this. Yes, it's a fair bourbon. It's not been my favorite by any means, but it's also not been my least favorite.
No, that's Old Bardstown.
We're still
No.
dogging that.
Yeah, we're gonna dog it for a while.
Yep.
It's no, it's just a fair, straightforward. Doesn't it's not one that's very. I don't want to say memorable. Sorry, D-Watt, not trying to. It's just a straightforward, simple bourbon with some earthy flavors to it.
I like it. I like the just the smoothness of it and the finish. So it's not, like you said, it doesn't linger around. It's not something you're like, okay, I got to go clean my palate now, right? So this is something I could sit down and I could see just a nice straight neat or even on the rocks bourbon just to enjoy overnight. So I'd probably give it a 68.
68.
Yeah.
All right. Then Lewis.
Solid. I'm gonna be just under Dylan. I'm gonna give it a 59.
59.
Yeah, I think it's a great taste in bourbon. Just not real complex, you know.
Yeah.
I like the higher proof stuff. You know that a little bit about me. 59 is right there.
Yep. Trying to remember back what I gave the basil.
We're not basing it off of other ones.
Well, no, but I gotta.
You think
true.
it's like a is kind
No,
of up
no,
there with
but
the basil? Or?
No,
to me,
basil was.
It's to me. It's the finish is about as quick as that was,
Oh, okay.
but I like the flavor up front a little better because
Yeah.
it's not quite as sweet and fruity as the basil was. So I'll probably be Actually, Dylan, I'm going to be kind of around where you're at. I'm thinking like a 62.
What is going on today? You guys are agreeing.
Told
with
you
me?
we are rusty, man. Like,
Whoa.
like
I'm out of practice.
Rob's took my spot. 4
No.
points higher than all.
No, usually you're really low or something.
yeah, it's
I'm
just-
usually
he's-
really high.
Yeah, it's just we all
really
got our own
high.
palates. So no, so we got 62 is what I'm going to give it. So yeah, D-Watt again. Thank you for the bottle. We've enjoyed it. And yeah,
Thank you, D-Watt.
Thanks, D-Watt.
You what?
so moving on before we get into the actual discussion of the night. Ben, what's going on, dude? What's new?
Not a lot new. Had a good day today. Today was my son and I, Henry, who's a freshman in high school. We've been hitting the same barber about every month and a half or so in Lincoln.
You're not supposed to hit your barber.
Old school joint, cool place. Well, we don't hit him,
You don't Will Smith him?
No,
Okay.
open hand slaps are okay. But we hit the barber today and had a good time. That's like a manly thing we do together. Hang out, get some haircuts, some beard trims. I'm kind of mad you guys didn't notice, but whatever.
I didn't
Anyway,
want to say anything because I'm jealous right now. My beard looks like a scraggly rat.
Stop. But
I'm going to shave it all off tomorrow.
That'd be awesome. Do it.
Don't do that.
I'm taking it all off.
Shave your head too.
No.
You'd look pretty
I have a
tough.
beautiful set of hair. I'm not going to.
Beautiful set.
It's a set. It's a set.
Your
It's a
beard, your beard's
complete
solid
set.
too, man.
It's a thick one, but it's coming in a little rough right now. I'm like,
You're gonna look like
It's
a
going into
Viking.
summertime, dude.
If you let
You
that
got summer
come
beard.
out, with that red, you're gonna look like
yeah.
it's the Thor, dude.
I've done it to your length before.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
but
you got to get past that length that you're at
Yeah.
now, and then it starts to
I know.
fill out.
I know. I just
You got to use some beard oil.
Yep.
You're gonna not itch then.
yeah.
gonna
The
be
problem,
softer
the
for
biggest
your
problem
wife.
for
Use
me
tail and
is,
mane.
well, the biggest problem for me is like when I'm working, if I'm working with anything like highly adhesive,
You get it in your beard.
and it gets it does. Sometimes if
Are
I'm
you
working above
eating
my
it?
head, like spray foam and stuff, and it gets into my beard, it's just a nightmare to pull out. And then
Were you one
must-
of those kids like just get stuff everywhere when you work?
No, I'm that one of those adults that gets stuff everywhere.
You're supposed to. That's good.
Yeah.
So Dylan, you got anything going on new?
A lot of life contemplations with the beard and things like that. But
These are heavy times. Heavy topics.
we closed on that house that I've been talking about and alluding to, so
Good.
we're done with
Congrats.
that. But I've got another one already coming up that I'm trying to seal the deal on. Acreages are hard to come by around here, so there's a beautiful acreage out in Valparaiso that I'm trying to seal the deal on there, and if I can, we won't move out to it. Sadly, I'd love to, but it's too far away from Seward, and so
out to the hills,
yeah. So it
The
would be one
Bohemian
to,
Alps.
the whole Bohemian Alps.
it's called Stony Creek. It's a pretty cool little place. Yeah, I mean, other than that, just watching my baby boy start to develop a personality has just been a blast. These last couple weeks have been so much fun. He's doing full belly laughs. He's really just coming into his own. Dude loves being naked. It's like,
Who doesn't?
yeah, he's a man right after his own dad, you know? And he's just funny that way. He makes me laugh. And at 4 months old, I didn't think I was really going to be like that excited, but I get just pumped to see him when I get home. And he's just so happy. And he's like a golden retriever when you get home, just shaking and happy and excited. And so it's like, it's been
So he's
pretty
like a
good.
glass 99% full guy.
Yeah, he's like me.
He is.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, Rob, what's been going on with you?
Oh gosh, busy day today. So went and saw the spring game today.
How was that?
It was great. Nebraska won.
Are you serious?
What?
Yes.
The only game they'll win all season?
Hey.
Well, it's a good start. Let's
You
put
know,
it that way.
he's pessimistic against the Braves. Now he's
Yeah.
pessimistic against the Huskers.
Okay, to be fair.
Do you really want to leave? Because
To be fair.
to be fair,
How have the Huskers been the last decade?
half decade. I mean, like
This is
2
not
decades.
that podcast.
It's not that podcast.
Dude, yeah.
Hey, we all believe
We'll
red.
wallow in
we all
our
believe
misery
red.
another day.
That's right. All right. So, anyways, you did
That, and then went to a friend's house. We did a gender reveal, which was great.
Nice.
You revealed your gender to your friends.
I did.
Congrats, man. What'd you decide?
I decided to stay a man.
Nice. We're canceled.
He's a he, him.
Still
no
a-
they.
No more it, just
more it.
him. Yeah. So no, it was good.
And now you're here.
They're having a boy, so it's awesome. And yeah, now I'm here. So I've got full of food, barbecue. I've been eating good today.
Nice.
It's been
You
good.
get a runza or anything at the?
I didn't. I thought about it, but we stopped at a pretty nice pizza place before we went. So Blaze Pizza. It's pretty good.
Hey, man,
yeah.
Where's that at?
downtown.
Right, yeah, 13th and Q.
Oh, okay.
It's a newer place.
Okay.
They do like a brick fire, like a fire,
Yeah.
like a fast fire. So it's fast. Like it's crazy how fast your pizza's ready. It's
That's awesome.
yeah.
cool.
Your kids love it.
Oh yeah, he chowed it down. So
We had a place back in
Like
my
the game
hometown
did.
that did those brick oven pizzas, but they took forever.
Yeah.
So I just never ate there. I was like, they taste delicious, but I'm not waiting an hour for my pizza.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess for myself, it's gonna be a little bit of a
Hey,
no
nerd that's
alert.
pretty good.
or both. It's gonna be a little nerd alert, kind of a farm nerd alert. So did you guys notice it was kind of windy this week?
Yeah, just a hair.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So for those of you who don't live here, we had
30
50
mile an hour constant?
yeah, and 50 plus gusts.
oh
Yes.
man, for 3 days,
3 days straight.
straight.
And I don't know if you noticed, but if you're driving down the highway, like you could really see different farm practices and how they hold the soil. And so I'm always like really like nerd out on like the rhizosphere and what's going on underground with cover crops and why I do it. I mean, this is not that podcast. I'm not going to go really into it.
I'm about to fall asleep. So
Yeah, but I sometimes just forget like the basics of what it does, and it was really cool just to see as I was driving down the road, like, hey, my dirt's not blowing, ha ha, right? so that was kind of cool. So I kind of enjoyed that.
You need to love your neighbor like you
Congrats.
love yourself,
Yeah.
my friend. Come on now.
Have you seen the way I treat myself? But no, that was good. And then yeah, like it's just sitting and waiting for it to ever warm up, and we'll get some seed going in the ground. So
sweet.
Yeah, when do you guys begin planting?
any day now, once the ground temperature is 50 degrees and rising.
Disagree. Okay.
So I don't know if you noticed next, like actually, so Tuesday we're supposed to be 84 degrees, right?
It is.
Yes.
But, but it's only going to be 47 in the soil.
Right. So, but we're not going to get there. But then on Wednesday, the high is 45.
Oh gosh.
But that's because we're having high winds.
Yeah,
that
it's supposed to be
whole
blowing
day.
60 mile an hour, and like there's a chance of snow that night. So
Yeah.
it might not be until a week from Monday.
We were getting those Dippin' Dots balls.
Wasn't it
At
late
home.
last year before you guys started planting too?
Yeah, well, we
Late
planted the first week of April, and then it got cold, and it was end of April before we did any more.
Okay.
So we had seed sitting in the ground for like 30 days.
Right. Yeah.
You all right over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I did not mean to do it that loud. I was just putting it on.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Does anybody know what today's the anniversary of?
No, but I bet you'll tell us.
Nope.
It's a 73rd
The
anniversary
73rd anniversary
of something.
of something. So, what was Ben Lewis's birthday? No, that's not right.
That's it. I look pretty good for 73.
Yeah,
don't
that's
I?
You look dang good for 73.
No, so 73 years ago today.
Biden was born.
No. Is actually
It might be
no. He was born before this because he's like
Oh,
80.
wow.
Yeah.
Is he? I thought he was like 73 or 74.
No.
He's
He's just hitting his
78,
prime, dude.
He's getting stride.
I think he's 80 or going to turn 80 while in office.
I think he's 78 or 70.
Okay. So this is 73 years ago.
Okay.
So 73 years ago, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was executed by hanging by the Nazi Party for his part in trying to devise the plan of what became the movie Valkyrie to kill Hitler, right? So you guys know who Dietrich Bonhoeffer is?
Yes, sir.
Tom Cruise?
No. 'Cause Tom Cruise plays Colonel... I can't remember his name now.
Mustard.
Colonel Mustard in the library. No, so Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a pastor. I don't remember what
Okay.
he was. He wrote the book. Is it The Cost of...
I don't
No,
remember.
not The Cost for Christ. I can't remember what it's called. But anyways,
Don't know.
But anyway, so it kind of goes in fitting with tonight's topic, which tonight's topic is what is our responsibility as men, Christian men, when it comes to culture and culture's direction?
Ooh.
Right? So the first question, and actually when I kind of like brought this up in the Discord when we were spitballing ideas, Rob had this, which I thought was really good.
Wait, we have a Discord?
Yeah, we have a Discord.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, jump on there, man.
Yeah. So, how much should we be concerned about the state of the culture? That was Rob's question. I thought it was good.
It is hard not to be concerned with the state of our current culture. We have talked previously in another podcast about living quiet lives. I think this would be a case where we don't live such quiet lives. I think the culture we live in today has done a lot to tear apart the family and has done a lot to maybe subjugate Christian values and kind of ostracize them. And as much as people who live this this postmodernist life want to think that they don't live under a Christian moral complex, this whole country was founded on a Judeo-Christian moral complex. So I think we need to stand up to that a little bit more. I think we need to be maybe not going out and wearing crazy uniforms and hats and marching everywhere, but we need to be active in our own homes. Make our bed first before we start making the communities. And we need to be diligent about explaining to our kids, this is what's going on now, but this is what reality really is.
What do you think, Rob?
Great point.
So, contemplated this a little bit. And this was even before the question came up in our Discord. A couple things come to mind. Is one, how did Christ act, right, in society during his time here? Right? We're supposed to be becoming more like him every day, right? That's hopefully the journey that we're all on, right? As Christians, is become more like Christ each day, more of him, less of us, right? Each day. And how did he interact with culture? He sought out those that were hurting in the culture, right? He sought them out. He embraced them and said, he embraced the oppressed. He, sought out the destitute. He, wanted to help the widows, all that, right? And then it's kind of a funny, you got to remember too, he was in an era when there was basically two cultures that he was within at that time. He was in the Roman culture, which would be the government, right, of that day, running things, running the show, but he was also in the culture of the Jewish, caliphate at that time, right? The high priests and the religious. There was that religious system that the Jews lived under, and his only when you everything I've read, the only things that he ever stood up to were the religious people of the day. He got after them, and he did not let up. He was relentless against the religious, system of the day. He was never he hardly said anything about the actual government system of the day. He just said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, render unto God what is God's. And so I think he understood that this world of politics and governments and things is not the true kingdom and what is to come, right? And he knew that. He knew who was really in charge. He knew who is really behind the scenes manipulating those things too. And he had authority over it all, and he could walk in that. And so to try to backtrack what I was saying at the beginning, if we're supposed to be more like him, I think we need to be more mindful of it in that sense than the government is doing us wrong, right? Not that we don't stand up to evil and untruth, but is our concern really about, is it Democrat, is it Republican, is it liberal, is it conservative? Is that really what we should be fighting for, or should it be more about the truth that we can instill upon those that we have in front of us each and every day?
Man, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, Andrew Breitbart, I believe, said, politics is downstream from culture, and culture today is the religion of today, especially with the postmodernist views. So we can get hung up on, do we like such and such governor? Do we like such and such speaker of the House? And it's so easy to do because they're constantly in the limelight. But what we're not paying attention to as a society is, what is culture saying about the things that are just morally right?
Right. And so that's a good point, and that also kind of reminds me of something else I was reading and listening to about. It was about when the Israelites were captured by Babylon and went into Babylon, right? And what did God tell them? Go, live there.
Just keep living.
Be part of their society. Learn their culture. They were forced to learn their culture. They were forced to eat their food. They were forced to dress their way. They were forced to learn in their schools, right? Be brainwashed, or tried to be brainwashed, right? But he said, go, bless them by building homes, by having, families. Be a blessing in that culture, in that society.
Well, you can fast forward that to the New Testament, where Paul's like, to the Greek, I am a Greek. And
Exactly.
To the Roman, I'm a Roman. And to the Jew, I'm a Jew.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but my question, is though not so much dealing with the government and how do we try to shape that. And I guess we can touch on it a little bit. I do think that the Christian church in America has put too much emphasis on the right. And I mean right as in conservative Republican Party, not the right as in like doing what's right.
Who are you voting for?
Right.
Yeah.
Probably.
That becomes the litmus test.
Not only that,
Yeah,
but
or something to that degree.
it becomes the hope and savior.
Yes.
You know, like how many people thought God abandoned them because Trump did not get reelected, because Trump was the hope.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people were part of QAnon. That'll give you your answer.
There's a lot more than that, because I mean, I attended a prayer vigil where people were praying that
Yes.
that was the only hope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So-
I know the prayer group you're talking about. I mean, we were there that same night. It was the night of that January 6th,
Insurrection.
quote unquote insurrection, and everyone was.
I mean, there's
Angry,
acquittals
yeah.
going on now, so it's
It's
actually
interesting.
there's precedence against it being called an insurrection now.
Okay.
I remember that night though. Everyone fired up. There was a lot of There's a lot of reaching out to God, of course, which is what you're supposed to do. There was also a lot of, dear God, please expose the evildoers and the non-truth tellers and everything else. And what I've found interesting is I still go to that a fair amount of the time, but within just a few weeks of that January 6th date, the very first time we met his prayer, after a while everybody was just going, okay, God, just take the wheel, please. Just, you got this. I know you do. And that's how we should be praying.
Oh yeah, it should have been the original. And I think that, so when it comes to like politics and stuff, that the American church, like we have become so aligned to a fault, improperly aligned with the conservative Republican Party, that we put our hope in that, and as opposed to the hope being Christ and the vehicle of change being the church, not a political institution. And so, and really as Christians, we need to start evaluating the Republican Party, quote unquote, whatever, or the conservative party, that we can't blanketly align with them.
No,
I mean,
I go against the
With
Republican
anybody.
Party on a lot of things.
yeah, or either party,
Yeah. 'Cause
yeah.
It should not be to what you're saying. It should never be this is the right party, this is the wrong party. And not,
Yeah.
I mean, we understand we could easily show where our chips would probably fall based upon beliefs, right?
Sure.
For how we would end up voting based on our conservative values as Christians. But to your point, that's not the end all be all. And then you're probably going to have somebody that you're going to have to choose from between two people and say, this person stands for more of the beliefs I believe in than the other person, so I'm going to vote for them. They're not going to be, they're human, so they're going to have
Sure.
faults. And
So you choose between the lesser of two weevils, right?
people say that, and it's not.
No, not evils.
Weevils. Oh, okay.
Weevils.
There you go.
That's a great point. I mean,
Yeah.
we're sitting here and we're angry about this on the left, or we're angry about this on the right, and yet if we just sit back and look and say, oh, what, you're upset about a flawed man who's in business to make money and gain power? We're mad about something that he did? No way. Yeah.
I don't know. Ever since 2016, I think honestly, it's brought me closer to not looking at politics or culture, but just saying like God's doing work in certain places, and I history doesn't ever really repeat itself, but it rhymes, and I
It's like
just
a rap.
yeah, I just see things being cyclical with what's going on with the rise and falls of empires, and with those rise and falls of empires, there often comes the moral adjustments that happen.
Well,
And my wife is going to kill me for saying it, but I often say we live in the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah in this country.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, teach that in the schools.
the cycle is always. I mean, especially if you look at like Israel forward, right? So you look at these nations that fear God. So you got Israel, and then Rome through Israel, right? Eventually, and then you have, or even like Egypt. Egypt, when was their most powerful time?
Yeah, during Moses, right before.
Yeah, like from Joseph to
Yes.
Moses, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Exodus.
So, and then you go to like the British Empire, Spanish Empire, all these empires. The nations that fear God, and I'm not even saying have proper doctrine or theology, but just fear God. He blesses them and they rise in power. They become, oh, we've got this, God. We don't need you anymore. And they become
And then they fall.
prideful. And the God's like, okay. He steps back, and then they go awry with all the things we see in our culture today, and then they fall.
Right.
And the hope has to be, like in today, and ever since Jesus, is the hope for the world is Jesus through the church. And what I mean by that is we are the church is the mechanism of change in the culture and in the world. Mm-hmm. The issue, though, is the church is not worried about influencing culture right now. We're worried about offending culture.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know if we need to even influence. I would take it a step further. I don't think we need to influence. I think by example, it should influence through example. It should influence.
It should be contagious.
It's it's the whole light shining on the hill. It's the what.
That's still influence.
It is, but it's not like I'm going to go out and we're going to protest this or that to make change, right? Does that really make change? No, it makes for more argument more often than not, right? Like, oh, look at them, not that you don't stand up for your rights because we're Americans, right? I believe the standing up for rights is more of an American freedom,
for sure,
right?
That we are afforded as Americans and
via the
Constitution and things. Mm-hmm. That's I stand on those principles based on the Constitution and being an American.
I mean, those rights say God-given inalienable right.
Exactly.
We hold that true.
So what about as far as influencing culture? How by example,
sure.
Right? But when do we go from just influencing by example to more of a directed influence, for lack of a better term?
Well, influence by example and influence by action can be the exact same thing.
I know, but I'm talking about
directed.
So, to me, the line is when we go to protecting innocence, to protecting the weaker.
Sure.
So, like for instance, like abortion. I think we should be. We talked about this before. That should be something we're motivated in. We shouldn't just be, oh, we're not. Look at us. We don't have abortions. No, we should be purposely trying to stop them.
So if you see. Do you guys think in the last couple of years we have lost Christianity as a culture? Or do you think it's starting to come back around?
No, I think we're farther than we have been.
I think we're starting to come back around. I think it's starting to circle back. I truly do. But based on the things that I've seen politically,
as a culture,
I really do. Believe it or not, the bigger cities, all we hear about in mainstream media, all you hear about is like the East Coast and the West Coast and how they're acting. But if you look at things that are going on in the middle, I truly feel like people are starting to say, like, okay, the nonsense has to stop. And there is one way to that nonsense stopping, and that's opening up a book called the Bible. I have seen more people come to Christianity in the last 2 years than ever in my lifetime. And we're seeing things like abortion. You're talking about, no, should we be going up and blowing up Planned Parenthood buildings? As much as I want to say yes, no, we should not be, because we're killing more lives doing that as well. But there is legislation that's coming down the pipeline because of the cultural shift that is starting to happen, which is giving me hope.
See, I would say I do agree that I think I see a strengthening of the true church. I think that the resolve for Christians is being strengthened as God.
We've been put into a corner.
Well, and God's stripping away idols. He's stripping away other distractions, and so I see that, and so the church is going from being a large semi-committed force to a highly resolved, more trained unit, right?
It's going from being the thing that you do to the thing that you are.
Yeah.
Instead of I go to church on Sundays, it's I'm a Christian now. That's starting to become more of the motto from people.
Yeah, so basically people who aren't Christians who attended church have found a reason to leave.
Yes.
And so
but people who were trying to find something in life have found a reason to come too.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
I hope you're right, Dylan. I mean,
you call me the glass overflowing full kind of guy, but I
keep being that dude.
I mean, great. There's a lot of political podcasts that I listen to. There's a lot of things that I listen to in my spare time while I'm at work. And most of them
came spare time at work?
No, okay, not spare time. But while I'm working, headphones are in. I don't want to get any more tinnitus.
It's called tinnitus.
Shut up. I'm hearing more and more people talk about
tinnitus.
Yeah,
no, that's schizophrenia.
Don't listen to all the voices.
That's schizophrenia. I'm hearing more and more people actually talk about, like, I didn't believe in a God before. I didn't believe in this and that, but I can't help but to think that there is a God because of things that are going on, and we are being pushed to our limits, and we are being tested. I'm hearing that from people who were similar to I was. I don't know if I mentioned it here before, but I grew up atheist. I grew up
A couple times, yeah.
Yeah, I grew up not believing in anything.
Every time.
Every time.
And I see more and more people each day, like not getting woke, but awakening to the BS, and they're like, I think there's something more to this Christianity. I think there's something less to the decadence we've been living in.
What color pill would that be?
Black pilled?
No, black pilled is like
it's a
you just want
plaid.
to die. Plaid is that
I think it's a plaid pill.
Because red pilled is like conservative, right? Blue pilled is
It's like dark blood red.
dark blood red.
Dark blood. Oh, there
The blood of Christ red?
Yeah.
Blood of
Right
Christ
on.
red. But it's blood and water, so it'd be like
Wine red?
pink,
Pinkish red.
pinkish red.
Moscato?
Not the color of the
Moscato
bourbon.
pilled?
Rosé. It's the rosé pill.
It's the color of Fiddler Unison bourbon whiskey.
It's bourbon
There
bourbon
you go.
pill.
It's
That's what it
definitely
is.
bourbon.
That's what it is.
Historically, though, like God's church has grown when it's being persecuted.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all over the country, all over the world, you've seen that happen in years and years and years. And,
That's why my wife thinks I'm crazy. But like today, the siren was going off in town right before you guys got here. Like we heard,
It was going off in Seward right before we got here, too.
Really?
really? There's
Yeah.
something cool going on.
Did you dive back into that corner?
No, but it's going off, and my wife's like, "What's happening?" I'm like, "Hopefully, we're getting invaded." Like, I mean, if the country's going to go down,
Isn't that weird? That
let's go down against like a good foe, not this crap we're putting up with now.
Are you saying we need to be the Wolverines?
I'm just saying, like,
Oh yeah.
Some Red Dawn coming on here?
I would
Something.
totally do it. Sorry.
no
What'd you say?
AK-47.
I said I would totally do that. I don't know.
oh yeah,
It's weird how like the Midwest folks are like, please invade us.
Yeah,
Give us
it's
a
not
reason
just
to
us. It's-
exercise our
there's a
Second
lot of good old
Amendment.
boys down.
You know why?
everywhere,
You know
too.
why in the Midwest we say that? Because they have to go through the coast first. And we're like, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah,
That's gonna stop.
Leave
That's
Florida
gonna stop
alone.
about Utah, Wyoming, Montana.
Exactly.
two good things are going to happen. One, the coasts are going to get depleted, and two, your forces will get depleted. Time you get to us,
And we're
we're
just
all
got
winning.
banned from Twitter.
Oh yeah.
We'll have a glass of bourbon together.
Yeah, cheers.
I don't know. I
Lord
think the
Jesus.
people that would try to invade us might like vodka a little bit. They're only 80 kilometers from our border.
No,
They're only 80 kilometers
Dude,
from our border.
It'd be sake or whatever.
Oh, you might be right.
Yeah.
You might be right.
Jen Psaki?
She quit too.
No, her name was Pasaki.
Psaki.
My name's Steven, but the P
Are these
silent.
motorcycles you're talking about? Or what?
You don't know who Pasaki is?
Oh, the spokesperson for.
Yeah. Have they announced a new spokesperson? Tangent alert.
Come on, man. You know, true non-shabbat pressure.
Yeah,
What?
It's
That's what he says.
I really, really hope the new one is.
Peppermint Patty quits.
No,
so
what's the big guy?
Pigpen.
The
Pigpen's coming.
no, from CNN.
Jake
Steltler?
Tapper.
Steltler or
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
I hope
that
it's
ball
him.
of sunshine.
That'd be awesome, dude. Like I'd actually watch stuff just to laugh at him. I mean,
Every time I look at
encourage
him, I get hungry for Thanksgiving. He just looks like a butterball turkey.
Okay, we don't need to take that conversation any farther.
that smile with his.
Yeah.
He's like a
getting-
ventriloquist puppet.
We're getting banned for
What is his
sure.
first
now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ben, is it Ben? That's not Ben.
It's Brian Stelter.
Brian
Brian.
Stelter. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Helter Skelter.
Yeah, totally straight, by the way. All right, so moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tangent alert.
So the question is, if the church is supposed to be in the world but not of it, right? So we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we all like Paul talks about that to the Jew be a Jew, to the Roman be a Roman. You know, so to somewhat not absorbing, but understanding the culture that we're in to be able to minister to those people. What does that look like in practice? Because I mean, it's very easy just to say those words, but what does it actually look like in practice?
To me, it says, as a Christian, be above politics. Like, don't let politics be the deciding factor of how you're going to treat people. Let the Bible be the deciding factor of how you're going to treat people. Let Jesus be the deciding factor of how you're going to live your life.
Yeah, your identity isn't Republican or Democrat. Hopefully not. But your identity is Christian, created by God. You're
Yeah, I had a-
here. The truth is the truth all the time.
I had a really wise man say to me from our church, you all know him pretty well.
Is it Benson?
No, it would be...
Gee, that was adamant.
No, he's a very wise man. Sorry, I was like breathing out
Oh,
right when I
very
said
wise.
that.
Okay.
He
Sorry,
happens
Benson.
to be a guy that teaches us every Sunday. He said that,
Oh, it's Gary Jewell.
yes,
Okay.
Gary.
Eddie Sander?
Hey, ask him his joke about how do you sell a duck to a deaf person?
You just better
Ask
tell
Eddie
us.
that?
Yeah, ask Eddie that next Sunday.
Okay, I'll ask
And
Eddie.
then
You're
report
gonna leave
back.
You're going to leave all three of these people listening hanging on
Yeah,
you?
no. 'cause Dylan's going to report back on the answer.
I will.
next podcast.
I talk to Eddie all the time. He's good stuff.
He's great.
He lives just down the street from me. But no, he said, you know, I would like to start seeing people's Facebook pages stating that what they are religiously versus what they are politically. He goes, if you look at most of everybody's Facebook page, does it tell you that you're a Christian, or does it let everybody know you're a conservative? And I think we need to be above the politics. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is not easy to do.
Do you think we should track them?
Track them.
Like a social score?
What are you doing
Like
to us?
CCTV?
No. Do you think that we should track politics enough to know what's going on?
Absolutely. We need to know what's going on, but also we need to be influencing what's going on.
Well, I think as an American, I go back to the American as American citizen. That's that's who we are, right? That's
Our civic duty.
we are. It's civic duty. Obviously, you want to understand what's going on. Yeah, I have a right as an American citizen to vote on things, understand, know who's doing what, and be able to hear and talk and speak. And I mean, that's part of our freedoms. And until that's changed or taken away, hopefully not. But obviously, we've given up a lot of that. That's a whole nother podcast, right? Our freedoms we've just let erode. But until then, I think that's part of being an American, a citizen. Because even going back to Daniel's, like God said, be part of the culture, interact, be part of it. Know it. Daniel was.
It's getting better than
It does. Every sip, I'm like, it's getting a little better.
I mean, they were so involved in the culture; they were part of the government, right? I mean, Daniel was an advisor to the king. I mean,
And then became
God was
king.
blessing him.
no, he wasn't. He never.
Or no, you're right. He did not become
He was
king.
always
he was
like
with the king
second in
before he
command,
died.
basically.
Yes.
Was it? He was under two Nebuchadnezzars, wasn't he?
He was under Nebuchadnezzar, and then he was under
Belteshazzar.
Darius, wasn't it? Was it Darius?
What'd you say?
Belteshazzar? Isn't that right?
That sounds like it's from a video game.
No. I could have
That was the name they gave him.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah.
That was his Babylonian name. But yeah, he was under two kings.
Yeah.
Or three or more. He was there
was
for
under
a
more
long
kings.
time.
Yeah, he was there for a long time.
But there's main stories is that he was looked at because of his foundation, right, in God and his beliefs, and never wavering to that,
Right.
no matter what the culture said, right? It wasn't about the culture saying, because there was right at the beginning, he's like, I don't want to eat this meat. It goes against what God's asking me to do. Can I not do that? And he stood up to that and didn't bow to culture, but he understood it, right? He was part of it. That's the weird kind of dynamic around that is how do we be in this culture, but not bow to untruth and ungodliness in it?
So how do we not bow to misinformation?
or just
misinformation,
or just untruths. I mean, like
just untruth in
with
general.
like what is marriage? What is
Yeah.
What is a
Don't-
what is a woman? I can't. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a
Hey,
biologist.
if the Supreme Court justice can't define it, why? How can I? Right?
Well, because the Supreme Court justice doesn't decide.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Anyway, but yeah, how do, and that's just standing to that and not bowing to cancel culture or whatever you want to call it nowadays, right? Everybody's afraid. It's more about the fear behind it, right? At the end of the day, it's more about fear of being canceled or whatever you want to call it, or somebody calling you out or standing up to you because you believe a certain way. And then two, also understanding our beliefs. And I think a lot of that comes back to, if we're not in the Bible every single day reading ourselves, not just waiting till a Sunday to be told what it says, and we're blessed to have a great teacher and teachers, in our church, but don't be just waiting for that day. Be in it every single day and learning yourself and digging and understanding and making it a part of you. So it's a part of me. Now when the culture comes at me, I can say, no, that's not true. That's untruth.
Right.
Stand up against it, right?
And we-
I can
and we-
stand against it, not in a defiant way, but no, this is God said this. God said this.
and do it in such a way that you're actually persuading others.
Well,
Yeah.
you're doing it in love, right?
Yes.
We go back to that. You're wrong, and here's why that's wrong, and here's what God says about that.
Yeah.
And I care enough about you to tell you this
You're right.
because you're going down the wrong path, and here's what it's going to lead to.
I was just going to say, when you were talking about that earlier, you're talking about God, or Jesus coming here, getting after the religious. He didn't come here for, the perfect or he came here for the sick, and when you open your Bible, like you just mentioned, and you find out that you are called to be salt and light. And there's a lot of darkness in this. There's a lot of rotting flesh in this world. We got to be salt and light to light that way and to rub up against people. Not in a weird way, Aaron, like you're thinking. I'm just saying, in a positive way. I mean,
We need to preserve. That's what the salt means.
we need to be that witness.
You know
Gotta
what?
be shiny and tasty.
Let God use us.
Well, you know what's funny about it? Just
Please.
thinking about it. Why do you think Jesus attacked the religious, caliphate at the time and the religious leaders? Because they drove people away from him.
Oh yeah.
But the government and the corruption and all the stuff that the society was doing was drawing them to him.
Right.
Which I
Isn't
That was always
weird?
the plan too.
Isn't that
I
weird
s-
though? I mean, just think about it. If you live a life outside of Christ with no religion, you're more likely to be driven to him than you are if you live under a religious, hand of do this law and don't do these things. That's fun. It just hit me when we were talking about it. Like, wow.
Well, the religious
funny.
caliphate thought they could keep the law, and that's worked out great for people. And when they couldn't, what did? They just kind of changed the law a little bit. Hey, I just
Tweak it.
set my bar a little lower than yours, and
Yeah.
and that didn't set well. with
Sacrifice
Jesus.
a couple more animals, you're good.
That's right. And he came here to show them that
You were
nobody can keep the law.
He was basically saying, your heart is so far from me. You have
Right.
no clue what I even meant by that.
and that's the trend I'm seeing today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I hope so.
Did you?
I mean,
guys-
I
your point.
hope so.
If you guys don't watch Fox News, I promise you will see that.
oh, I promise you will watch Fox. No, I won't. I won't.
You will see.
They just hired Caitlyn Jenner or Bruce Jenner, whatever his name is, to be
Bruce.
their new.
Can't dead name him now.
Yeah.
That's
You.
culture.
I can dead name.
You can dead name.
Yeah.
They can't.
Somebody,
No, that's
somebody fell down. But so
Good thing we're in the bunker.
it's right. We're in the bunker. We're safe. We're safe. So I don't know if you guys actually well, I know Dylan's not on the Twitters, but I've been following the news with what's been going on in the SBC, Southern Baptist Convention. So they're up for like electing a new president.
hold on. You spoke really fast. The what convention?
The Southern Baptist Convention,
Oh, okay.
SBC. So, which is, I mean, the Southern Baptist Convention. That's a large denomination. I mean, in America.
I'll take your word for it. I have no idea.
Oh, so the North American Mission Board.
I know it's of size. I just don't.
The North American Mission Board is the largest mission organization in the United States.
Okay.
So it's theirs. But basically, I don't know if it's who is the current president or a guy that's up for election for it, whatever. But basically, he's like tweeting out stuff where he said, though I disagree with her positions, I'm very proud that, what's her name? The new, what's that?
Supreme Court Justice?
He's got really quiet.
The furnace just turned
Because your
off.
furnace just turned off.
Oh, okay. And I thought I was having a seizure again.
You taste almonds?
Yeah, do you smell anything different right
Just
now?
toast. But
Burnt toast.
anyways, the point, I've lost my thought, but the point was, do you think that the church in America right now is too much of the culture, or are they more just in the culture? And I don't mean the church as in like capital C, all Christians. I just mean like the corporate church.
That's tough because you're talking about multiple denominations and how they're
So
led.
this is going to be let's say evangelical churches as a conglomerate.
I would say,
When
who are your two biggest churches right now? Would it be Bethel and Hillsong?
Well, those
Culturally?
neither one of those are United States.
Bethel and Hillsong are not in the United States.
Hillsong's in Australia. I think Bethel is too.
Because I think they
No,
have
the-
the biggest influence in modern day culture.
I would just say any church, any quote unquote church that is very public viewing or publicly seen, like more has a lot of
Like Hope Church.
anything that's really on the, that's, we want to call it anything that's really out there in social media and everything. The ones that you hear about the most, those are the ones that tend, and I say tend, not all, but tend to be the ones that start to, all of a sudden you'll start hearing an idea or a bending of their belief or their,
Or to let's just not talk about this part of scripture.
yeah, let's not talk about this, or you know what, we're not sure on this, so we're just going to go ahead and just say, you believe what you believe in. And, they start to kind of compromise. That's probably the word I'm looking for more. They start to compromise on things and not make a stand. Instead of saying, no, this is the truth, this is what the Bible says, and we're going to stand on that truth, they say, okay, well, we'll just agree to disagree. Welcome, come on in.
Are you checking to see if Hillsong's in America? Because I know Hillsong's in
Well, they have
Australia.
multiple sites, I think.
Carl Lentz is their biggest pastor, and he's here in the United States. He's the one-
Hillsong, the church, is based out of
Hillsong Church, commonly known as the Hillsong Global Charismatic Mega Church, is based in Australia.
Yeah.
Originally established there in 1983.
and I would definitely say they are of the culture.
They have over
agree.
16 new in the last 6 months. They have 16 new campuses in the United States, and it's fastestly growing in the United States.
And I would definitely say that Hillsong's doctrine is very much of the world.
That's what I was going to get at. It was Bethel is here in the United States as well. They have the two fastest growing campuses in this country right now, and I would say they are of the world for sure. Like they are of the culture.
Well, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? Because
Well, to me, it does a little bit because I think that we have a problem where the church is not holding churches accountable.
Right. The truth is the truth all the time. That doesn't God doesn't.
There
bend.
was a time when the church would snuff out heresy. We don't do that anymore. We just split.
yeah, that's probably true.
So that's another podcast, I guess.
Yeah, it's a whole other podcast.
We've got like 22 podcasts we can create out of this
it's-
one
but
episode.
yeah,
schedule's filling up.
And what I mean by it doesn't matter at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot, Scripture says a lot of this is exactly going to happen.
Right, but just because it's going to happen, I don't think that means that we should be
But I'm just saying we
not
shouldn't be
caring
surprised.
about it. No, but I still think we have a responsibility to care about it.
Yeah,
And to
no,
move based on what's going on.
and we should speak truth where we can speak truth.
Right.
Right. And if somebody's not if somebody who's in our direct leadership is not going to speak that truth and compromise on that truth, then we should have a major discussion within our organization, right, as a church, and say, either this is. And I think we're spoiled, right, because we're a congregation-led church, so we're able to come together and have those discussions.
And we're blessed to be a church that is, by and large, made up of really dedicated people.
Yeah.
That we made, I know I disagree with some people on some minor theologies, but at the end of the day, our main motivation is to glorify God and to spread his gospel.
Yep.
And so that makes so it's, but I've been in part of churches where that's not the case.
No, this church specifically that we go to is something special.
And so, but my challenge to our listener,
I've never seen anything like it.
The one listener.
is that,
But what if he has a friend with him today?
okay,
2 listeners.
What's
two
up?
listeners. Hey, that's exponential growth.
Yes.
So is that, but my fear, I guess, is just in period, is that men, since this is a podcast to men, are not being challenged to stand for that truth. You know what I mean? Like that they don't hear that from their pulpit. They hear love and they hear this, but they don't hear that sometimes love is taking a hard stance on truth. And so when they hear false doctrines, false ideologies being of the culture instead of in the culture, they're just like, that's too bad, but that's them. I'm just going to be over here.
Not my chair, not my problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And to me, that's why we've gotten to the point where we're at with the mass amounts of denominations to start with. And I don't have a problem with denominations if they're just because we have different worship styles, we have different prayer styles, or minor, what I call the gray theologies. We have differences in that. But when I have an issue when it comes to, for instance, allowing homosexual clergy, to me, that's or pastors or whatever. That's outside of the rules and what God has established. But my bigger issue is when we have, I'm sorry, we're a Baptist church. We can't do ministry with you. We can't go out and feed people in the city with you because you are whatever, right?
Right.
And so there's so much of that splitting and all this stuff. Whereas I think we need, because there's been too much of men not saying, no. It doesn't matter.
We're all men of God.
We're all men of God. We all believe in the gospel. We're going to take, even though we might disagree behind closed doors, when it comes to facing the public, we're a unified front for the gospel, taking arrows for each other, doing the Lord's work. And we've gotten away from that.
Yeah, we spend too much time pointing fingers and saying, no, you're wrong because you do this and you do. I mean, heck, you're talking about we don't want to associate ourselves with you. In the Lutheran church themselves, they have different sects that will not pray with the other sects during games. Like my daughter goes to a Lutheran school, and I don't agree with everything that Lutherans do, but I think they closely align to how we as a church do things. I mean, we came from the Lutheran church. Evangelical Free came from a state-ran
Everybody
Lutheran
did.
church.
Everybody did.
but we specifically did in the Scandinavian
This
countries.
guy named Martin
the history
Luther
behind
bailed
that
on the
is
Catholic Church
because of that.
Canceled.
But
Cancel the Catholic Church.
but there's LCMS, the Missouri Senates. They're not allowed to pray with. It's like the Wisconsin or I don't know.
I don't
exactly.
know, dude. I'm not Lutheran. Never have been.
But they were telling me when they do basketball games, volleyball games, and they're with different coalitions of Lutherans, those groups won't even allow them to pray with them. They're like, no, because you're not really Lutheran. And it's like, what are we doing here? If we're not just focusing on the Word of God and we're not focusing on the truth, what are we actually doing other than being tribalists and a bunch of territorial monkeys at the end of the day? Like, we need to focus on the Word of God, the truth that's in the Bible, and that is really all that matters. I hate these multiple flavors of Christianity. Just give me the Word, give me the truth, teach me how to be a better human being and follow Christ. That's all I care about at the end of the day.
We got to get back to the gospel.
Follow Christ first, then become a better human being.
Yeah.
Yes, I think they go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it gets back to,
and egg.
knowing the Word, right? No, like you said, know the Word. Get in it, know it, and that strengthens you for those exact moments when it comes down to, that's where we're going to get our strength from, is knowing the Word. If we don't know the Word, then we're going to sit there and go, oh, it doesn't sound like that's my problem. That's where you get passivity, because a lot of these, unfortunately, a lot of these men out there who are going to church aren't learning it for themselves to understand it and what Christ is telling them, and walking behind that. You can't do that. You have an empty faith at that point. You don't know what you're even standing up for. So of course you're gonna have guys that are gonna be like, I'm out of this argument.
Yeah,
Or, that's not my fight.
We're at a point now too where the church has got to pick up a lot of slack when it comes to men, because culture's done. Like there's no. I was about to use the word,
But they've thrown away men.
I can't use the word grooming anymore. But let's just say there's no more like
do you mean?
teaching men, right?
Teaching.
There's no more teaching men in the culture, and so the church has to pick up that slack. But if the church is being too much of the culture instead of in the culture, they too have lacked the building of men.
Absolutely.
And I think, though, using the term "the church needs to pick up the slack," it's something that you have to really define too, right?
Big C,
Big C,
Big C church.
and we're talking about
People,
the people
So, yeah.
of the church.
So when I say Big C, like
that means me, that
you,
means you,
right?
We're the
Ben.
church.
That's absolutely true. So yeah, you're right, because that's one thing why I hate English. We
Yeah.
have one word,
Exactly.
but so the ecclesia, right? The church is that we need to all of us. We should have somebody, and
and our two listeners.
and our two listeners. This is going to go right into our next topic on our next podcast, which is Iron Sharpens Iron, by the way. Cool. But we should all have disciples. That sounds bad. We should have people we are discipling. That's a better way to put it. We should have, hey, be like me. Come on. No,
Yeah, we're not megalomaniacs.
no. We should have people that we are discipling. We should be being discipled, and then we should have brothers like at this table that we're
right.
walking with.
And holding each other accountable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. But we've got, so when I say the church, you're right. I don't mean more programs in the building. I don't mean more programs.
Yeah, and I only say that because you got to think of, not that our platform's huge, but when you say church, a lot, it means a lot of, like you said,
A lot of things, a
because
lot
we
of
only
people.
have one word.
Could be a place. It could
Exactly. When somebody says
To us,
church,
it's a
like,
group of
oh,
people.
that's the whole, Lutheran. It could be the whole
No.
Lutheran organization. No, we're talking about individual
Christianity.
people
Yeah.
that are believers in Christ that are
So,
following him.
Let's go ahead and just make it forever known. When we're doing a call to action to the church, we mean individuals.
In each other, right?
Yeah.
We mean Christians as a whole.
Yes. The church being the bride of Christ.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll have to say we need a different word for like small c church. But we'll call those church. Church. So church is small c church.
I always say congregation.
Churchitas.
Okay, that sounds, well, I like church. It's
Okay.
It's only one
The
syllable.
congregations.
I mean, the Hispanics love to use ita after everything to make it cute and small. So, churchita,
Churchita. No, I feel cute and small.
iglesita.
Anyway, when all else fails, and it will, ask God to strengthen you, because that's the only way we're going to accomplish anything.
See,
Period.
when you said when all fails, the first thing that popped in my head was tune the chest one in the head.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean,
When all fails,
that's a
Claymore
different
does lots.
podcast.
Different podcast. All right, guys, that was good. So yeah, that's a good segue to in the next episode, which will be coming out next week on Iron Sharpens Iron.
And we'll be doing it a week from now.
We'll be releasing it a week from now. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but all right. Hey, Dylan. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pull you off of your. I'm going to pull you out of your comfort zone. I'm going to have you close this in
You're
prayer.
a nice person. All right. Dear Lord, I just want to thank you for allowing us to get together today and actually to be discussing these hard topics in your name and to glorify you and to express how we want to glorify you, especially when we deal with all the things we deal with in culture today. I also want to thank you for the ability to do this unfettered, where we are not being held back by anything politically or culturally in order to do this, and we are standing strong to what we believe in. I hope that this can reach out to many other men. I hope other men can hear this, and I hope they can learn from this or decide for themselves, are they going to start taking that stand? Are they going to start taking that action that needs to be a part of the church? So in your name, I pray, amen.
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 All right, guys, we'll catch you next time on the Manhood Neat podcast.